It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with a review of The Mandalorian, Season 1, Episode 1. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, I thought this was a bit of a mixed bag. It's not a bad show. It's not great. It's actually pretty decent. But, there are some things to criticize about it and some things that I'm going to praise. We'll get a bit of the plot here. Is that the Mandalorian is tasked with basically trying to find a bounty. Now, we start off on a nice planet that's not Hoth, because it's Star Wars, and apparently there's only ice worlds and desert worlds and jungle worlds, and that's pretty much it. By the way, Carl Weathers makes an appearance in this show. Yeah, well, one of the nice bit of cameos. But the guy he captures, which is this bluegill guy, he freezes in carbonite and is assigned this bounty by Werner Herzog, who promises him Beskar metal, which is the armor of the the metal that the Mandalorian armor is made out of. So he's basically obtaining bits of his Mandalorian armor bit by bit, earning it. There's a scene where the Forger, presents him with the shoulder piece. He runs into an IG unit. It's not IG-88, IG-11, I think, is in this series. For some inexplicable reason, he keeps trying to self-destruct every time he gets cornered because there's some built-in factory directive, do not let yourself be captured. But eventually, they team up and manage to storm this compound on a desert world, where they find a baby Yoda. Now, IG-11 is under orders to terminate it. Obviously, this is not happening because the Mandalorian shoots IG-88, IG-11, and kind of rages out in this final thing. That's the final scene before we get to the credits. The pacing is actually pretty decent. We have the episode, it's something like 38 minutes and an odd number of seconds. It's well paced. It is kind of elements of a Western. The cantina scene, again, it's something we've seen before. The Mandalorian comes in. There's these guys that are pestering the bluegill man inside the cantina. But we find out, that he's got a bounty on his head, and the others are probably bounty hunters, or at least people who've got a problem with them. So he captures a guy alive. He's like, okay, there's one of two ways to come with me, warm or cold. And, he kind of makes it believable because he is a Mandalorian, and so there's, a bit of street cred. But he starts off, he's got like this painted Durasteel armor. And eventually, as we get into the series, he gets upgrades. So when he talks to Werner Herzog's character, he's offered this Beskar alloy, which is, what is used by the Mandalorians to make their armor. And it's supposedly it's, a lot stronger than Durasteel, which is the conventional armor plating. So he travels to this desert planet where his bounty is located. Werner Herzog is very cryptic in this. He says that the bounty is only 50 years old. Discretion is of the utmost importance. Basically, he's paying the Mandalorian in Beskar alloy, which is the price of his bounty, on the condition that he brings the bounty in alive. Although, if he brings it in dead, he has to prove that it's dead, and then he'll get a reduced fee. But Herzog is basically hedging his bets. So we don't exactly know why he wants this baby Yoda or Yodeling. A lot of people are not sure what to call it. It's called Baby Yoda because, well, we don't know the name of Yoda's species. And honestly, George Lucas himself never actually wanted people to know the name of the species or where Yoda came from or the name or the native language, the home planet. None of that was important. Okay, Yoda was basically Gandalf or uh, I guess you could call him analogous to Rocky Balboa's trainer, played by Burgess Meredith in Rocky or something. Uh, but basically, that this is the episode. Like I said, there are some things to criticize about it. I'm not exactly sure why the IG88 knockoff is even there, except as kind of comic relief. Uh, I mean, he's a pretty powerful battle droid. I mean, he gets the job done, and is there basically because he too has been paid to go and track down this bounty, albeit for different reasons. So he's there to lend a hand, but why does he keep triggering his self-destruct mechanism? I mean, it seems like that's done basically just for comic relief. Uh, we don't know exactly why he chooses to freeze his first bounty in carbonite, although it's because Empire Strikes Back, it hadn't really been tested on a living creature before, and okay, so it works on Han, and it proves that you can actually freeze a being, and uh, but this is set sometime after the fall of the Empire, so a few years have passed, presumably since this discovery was made. Maybe that became the preferred method of transport for bounties. But I thought it was kind of shoehorned in. We got a little bit too much fan service going on because we see like hallmarks to familiar places, familiar species, and I felt that if you're gonna do a new show, I mean you can keep the familiar, but also go in new directions. So, and just having these same types of sets like desert planet, ice planet, it seems like it's been done before. So why wouldn't you go to someplace new that we haven't seen before, but still within the Star Wars universe? The CG was kind of a little cartoony in places, but not so much that it really detracted. So that's kind of a little bit of nitpick on my part. Uh, and then, of course, we got a couple members of Salacious Crumb's species. Now, Salacious Crumb, if you remember from Return of the Jedi, was Jabba's pet inside the palace. So, they've got one in a cage watching his pal being roasted on a spit, which is, for a Star Wars show, seems kind of like not suitable for children. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but maybe this is a little bit more for adults. The plot so far seems to be teasing a magic box, and also, and this is my biggest nitpick. The others have addressed this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. At 50 years old, this yodeling really should be older, because it was established in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi that Yoda was over 900 years old when he died, and that he had been training Jedi for 800 of those years. Now, if he's still a baby at 50, he would have to have grown up pretty quickly over the next half century, because he would have had to become a Jedi and a Jedi Master within that time frame. Because I don't see anyone really taking instruction from a Jedi Master who still looks and acts very much like a child. So yeah, I mean that's really kind of stretching the bounds of believability. It doesn't quite break suspension of disbelief, but it comes pretty close. So that's my biggest nitpick. Now, there were elements that I liked a great deal. It's not trying to retread what we've seen before in Star Wars. I do like that. Uh, in terms of storytelling, we are seeing elements of George Lucas's original vision for the planet Tatooine, where, you know, because George Lucas, when he did Star Wars, it was a mashup of different elements, westerns, samurai movies, healthy bit of Tolkien thrown in there for good measure, and, you know, not a little bit of Buck Rogers. So in here, we get that very same, Western theme where the Mandalorian is, a bounty hunter. And he's got skills, he's been trained. There's a nice scene where he's landed on the desert planet and he comes across these reptilian bipedal steeds. I mean, they're not banthas, but they're not. I don't know, but he comes across this crusty old alien who agrees to help him. The reasons could have seemed contrived, but he offers some dialogue. Basically, he helps the Mandalorian because since this Yodeling has come to this planet, all sorts of mercenaries and bounty hunters and scumbags have been drawn to him to try and collect him or capture him for reasons, again, we still don't know. Maybe because the species is so rarely seen outside of its own planet, especially after the fall of the Jedi, that maybe it's considered a prized life form. We don't know. So, there's been a lot of disruption to the local community. So the old guy says, look, you're a Mandalorian, you're probably going to make short work of this. And, once you and this quarry are gone, then maybe peace will return. So that's my reason for helping you. Okay. Again, could have been very contrived if handled a bit differently, but for some reason it works. A lot of potential in this series. I'm going to watch episodes 2 and 3 over the rest of the week, and then get to Batwoman and finish that up, because I don't want to leave that unfinished. But, priorities are coming to be a little bit higher, because I actually want to review this. So that's my opinion. What did you think of this episode? I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. And be sure when you hit that bell icon to select all so you can receive those notifications. Hit the like button, share this video. If you want to help support the channel, keep the lights on, help us bring you more content, head over to our Patreon or subscribe star page. I also got a GoFundMe tech drive link below. Can't do this without you. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out.